Dating. Yay! Hello!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for struggling through with the technical difficulties. So I really...
It's just part of what we're all dealing with right now, for sure. So, yeah, no worries. No.
That is so true. So how are you doing? How's the transition been? Because I know that you're an artist, but you're also a professor. So how's that been with COVID-19?
Well, it's awful. I mean, trying to teach online with painting, and then also trying to get all our students registered and all that kind of stuff has been kind of rough, but everybody's dealing with it all the world over. So we just take it in stride. I've got a really good faculty and an amazing bunch of students. So it's, we just are doing our best. So
yeah, that's the amazing thing, is that I feel like this is bringing out mostly the best in everyone. So before we jump into official questions, I am curious, do you feel like this time during COVID-19 where you're stuck at home, but you're also trying to teach, do you think that you have more of a raised productivity or art that you think will surround the issues that we're facing right now? Or what do you think this environment's kind of changed how you've acted as an artist?
Well, when we got finished with classes, I came home, and I think it's like my friend Louise has been saying. She told me once she was running at about 60%, and that's about where I've been. I am now starting to get some work done in the studio, but really just trying to scramble and get things together for classes, and also just take care of myself. I feel like this is the earth is putting us all in a retreat mode, and so getting plenty of sleep, just trying to stay up with laundry. My husband and I are both staying at home, so we don't, we haven't been going out. Although I will go do big giant walks. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh, I definitely understand. Just to feel like you're a part of society, walks are so important.
This is my nephew. I'm going to have to decline him. That's John house. Anyway, he's probably wanting to know what's going on. He's in Des Moines, Iowa. He's sweet. I have a wonderful family. Anyway.
Oh, I was going to say, and you declined him? Oh no, poor boy.
There's no telling. I mean, there are people out here right now taking, they're having drinking bets on how inappropriate I'm going to be right now. If we said yes to him, we probably would have had to gone off the air. But I let my.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well. Hopefully we can try to keep this PG, since we are a family institution, but tough times.
Yeah. Don't worry. My intentions have been made, so.
Oh, and plus, I'm sure that whatever bet you made, you want to win, so.
That's exactly.
We'll help you out there.
I know, exactly. Now, I know that a lot of my friends in Edwardsville were going to be watching this on Facebook, so I don't know, but I was going to introduce them to you. That Chaney is from, are you from Collinsville? Lynn Carbon.
No, I am from Edwardsville.
That's right.
Yes. So just for everyone that's watching, Katherine actually went to graduate school?
Southern Illinois University.
Where I was raised, yeah.
And we found out it was fun. It made me like her that much more. So. Yeah,
what a great coincidence, and what a fun town, so close to St. Louis, lots of things to do. So do we want to go ahead and just jump right into questions?
There was one question that I think maybe for artists that I didn't really answer for you, is how creative have I been? And I'll be, I'm going to be super honest, it's been incredibly difficult. And I almost felt like I had a show that went up in January, and then that was at Gallery 26, and then we had a show at the museum at your museum the end of January. And so I was all on to keep working, but I think all of the pressure from everything else has really sort of shut this down. Now I've got a deadline coming up for next January. So, I mean, I'm starting to work again, but it really shut down my creative process. So my students, I felt like everyone's motivation had completely dropped out. And so I thought it was, hi Craig, and hi Michelle. And anyway, so it was an interesting thing, and I had to really get over feeling guilty about not, making some amazing statement piece about COVID when I was cowering, eating cookies on the kitchen floor, it's like, so.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you there that I think that during this time, especially for a lot of creatives, there's this pressure to be producing and to be very influenced, whenever really the fact is for everyone globally, this is a traumatic experience. We're in the middle of trauma, and how you handle that is different one person to another. And some people, they are experiencing this creative spark, which is great, and that's amazing. But you can't expect that from everyone, and you can't beat yourself up about it. So
no.
I'm glad that you're not, and that you're understanding that you needed that time.
Well, it happens to everybody, and there's, plenty of books on the psychology of creating. A great one is called Art and Fear. I'm sure you've probably read it, or it's maybe.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah, and it's a great book to help you feel okay about not constantly being in the studio. And like you were saying, I teach college, and I'm the chair of the art department. So I would say that my studio work is about 50% of my actual work. But it just depends on what's going on, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's like exercise. If you've always made art, on and off, you were always going to continue making it, but got to keep the habit.
Yeah. So I think that jumps really well into my first question, which is really just, you said you've been on and off with art, and it's been this relationship that you've had with art your entire life. So sort of, what was your process in your childhood and early adulthood that really led you down that path?
Well, I was raised in Conway, Arkansas, and didn't go to undergraduate school, or actually went and flunked out at UCA. Didn't even spend a full semester. Went to work, did a lot of different things, worked at Waffle House, drove a giant truck. I'll tell you about that sometime. Just
that sounds amazing.
Or paid health insurance claims and things like that. And, that really helped me understand, go to college. So I went to school at UCA, and I studied under Susan Chambers and Al Allen, primarily as painters. Jack Harrington was really important to my education. And then I went to graduate school at Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, and stayed there for 10 years. Worked in St. Louis, and then moved back home in 1999. One of the reasons I came back to Arkansas was I had more opportunities to teach. Started teaching adjunct at UALR, met a ton of my current friends, Amber Updegrove, Corey Bristow. These were all my students, Margot Duvall, Al Shakri, all of these students from that period of time at Euler. And then got a full-time job there as the artist in residence in painting. Was it only 1 year at Pulaski Tech, and that was a heck of an experience. That was one of the best teaching experiences of my life. And then I've been at Henderson State University since 2007. So but I did not have a huge creative upbringing. I went to a small Catholic school, and we had just like maybe, I think I may have had a couple art classes. I didn't,
Yeah.
my parents weren't artistic. And it was just something I felt like I was pretty good at. And then when I went to school and I started working, that was what my joy was in, you know. And as you get older, you start learning about your signature strengths, and you understand it's like, that's why these things fit. Maybe that's why I'm not good at algebra, or, you know, but anyway, so that's my background. It's not, and, you know, I really have, as far as being a painter, I've continued to work really hard. None of this, like, you know, right now I'm going through a period of, let's see, February, March, like maybe, you know, a couple of months now where I haven't made a lot of work, but that's going to end. I mean, the point is that you have to make yourself work. It's not a, it's really fun when you get a lot of stuff done. But until then, it's a lot of work, you know, so, but yeah, so that's kind of my background as far as art goes. I had fabulous teachers, Floyd Martin at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, who is an amazing art historian. These people, like, I was prepared to go to graduate school. I had people that really cared about my career, and also Gary Haywood. All these people helped me along the way, you know, afterwards. So, yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't go anywhere without a whole team behind us. So that's so amazing to hear that, you know, people inspired you.
Yeah.
And that was also interesting because you kind of discussed a little bit about how you learned your strengths and your weaknesses, and that really helped you get into art and figure out your own style. And I remember first looking at your works and just being in love with not only how you use vintage photographs, but also how you change the composition and you empower these women that are seen in sort of an everyday snapshot of their life, but you make that a bigger deal, which I think is amazing. So sort of what made you think to do that, and what got you started?
Undergraduate school was non-objective work. Like I said, Al Allen was my main professor, and he wasn't really a non-objective, but he kind of was. And so Al was there. I was doing non-objective work. I did non-objective work in graduate school, and then I got out, and then I felt like I didn't know how to draw anything. So, you know, I shuffled things around, started doing really a ton of still lifes for several years, and then I switched into figurative painting. And what happened with that, my Aunt Maureen, who lives in Iowa, she had worked for a photographer's firm for a long time, I guess decades maybe. You know, and this was a photographer that had been in Muscatine, Iowa for, I don't know, like, I'm going to lie and say like the early 1900s. As they were closing up this photography studio, they were getting rid of all of these images, glass negatives, and of course they've saved a lot of them, but my aunt had some boxes of family photographs that folks were, you know, just getting rid of. And so she sent me a box, and I was just taken with the personalities of the sitters in the photographs, the way they were taken then, and that they were more of a record of a moment, an outfit, an occasion. A lot of them were taken outside because of the way film and camera worked. So it was sort of a formal thing. And I also was able to see these people move through their lives. It was a box, I guess, of one family's or several families. So you'd see somebody as a young person and then move into a older person.
Yeah.
And so I saw that happening. I also was really interested in working with other people's histories and sharing that history. So it's like, it's not my family, although I've done some pieces of my family, but it's all of our families, and so that's why that was interesting to me, was looking at that and sharing this with other people. That we all have this same humanity and the same need and want and desire to be happy and wear a new dress and go on a trip, or whatever it is. I also felt like a lot of the images I was seeing were women at a time that where they were being sort of rebellious in the photographs, and they were kind of taking back their joy, and I'm not sure that, I'm glad that you kind of had that feeling about my work, but I'm not always sure that some people think they're not just joyful people jumping rope, where I see it as people taking back their life and their joy, and I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And I don't know if I have to be more, I've thought about it, if I have to be more direct and intentional in that content, but it's so, and I generally use women, so I'm interested in portraying women, because that's what I am. And that's how they feel, and it's the only way I know to be alive, as a woman, and the experiences I've had growing up and that kind of thing. And I could say in the South that it's everywhere, so it's not just here.
Yes, I totally agree with you there. You are totally fine. So I was also curious, because I noticed that there's a big trend of people taking basically black and white photographs and coloring them as kind of a way to make it more personal and have people connect, because I feel like with black and white photographs, you feel that disconnect, a sense of otherness, because you can't really see the blush in someone's cheeks. And I really love that you take these photographs and you sort of hyper color them with these bright colors. And I was wondering your thought process behind that, and what kind of led you to the color palette that you use. It's so beautiful and eye-catching.
Well, I think one of the first things that I was sort of good at was color combinations, and the ability to, I also understood, everybody acts like color theory is like this, I guess it is this super scientific thing, that it's not. It's very simple, that if, salt and sugar are opposite, as are yellow and violet, or red and green, and it's how those things work together, or how similar colors work together and what kind of mood they give you. I'm very interested in the Arkansas artist Carol Clore, totally one of my all-time favorite heroes. Susan Chambers was a big influence in her color choices. And she taught me Design One. So, I got a lot of that information from her. And so you emulate those that teach you. Yeah. But even when I was doing non-objective work, it went that way. It was color driven. So when I started doing figurative work, it's really sort of the way that things came out. And I started looking at, of course, Carol Clore. I stole lots of techniques from him, using a background. Carol would do a abstracted background, and then he would work over that and then let the background show through. So like hostile butterflies, that image, all the butterflies are the underpaint, and so he's painted around. So you've got this almost backlit image, from the back of the piece. So I've done that a lot, and then really kind of fell in love with Vuillard, the French painter who worked alongside Bonar. Are you familiar with their work? I'll just kind of slide this over, but
I was gonna say I'm not 100% positive.
okay. Well, this is some stuff that I'm working on right now, and they would.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And stuff like that. Let me hang on. Don't go anywhere, anybody. I'm sure I've got. Well, here's the image that I was talking about. This is going to be with Carol Clore. You know, it's the hostile butterflies image. And here's Fouillard. Of course, he was French, but his work is absolutely stunning. Using let's see how terrible this looks.
Oh, I am familiar with his work. Just the name didn't ring a bell, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so
yeah, French Impressionists. There's something
sort of post-impressionist, so wacky and sloppy, and almost the figures become hidden in these patterns of color. And my sister and I got to go to London last year to the Tate to see a Bonar exhibit, which was like, will make you mad. You just go through, it's like the Van Gogh Museum, you just walk through going, oh my God. So those are huge influences. I try to tell students, it's like all of these things have been developed over years. I didn't just wake up on a Saturday and then see a YouTube video where someone said, let's do, you see what I'm saying? It's just years working on stuff. I do feel like right now, where I am, you and I were talking about sort of this pause, that I think that I'm moving into something new. I don't know that it's going to be crazy new, but still we'll have figures, still we'll have color. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have any sneak peeks of your newness? We're so curious, and just looking at the canvases that you showed, absolutely gorgeous.
For a friend, she's a dear friend, Laura Amron. She won't even see this. It's so great. She hasn't seen any of it. But these are some of the ones I'm working on. We've got a protester. See, all these were done before COVID. And I'm also not real sure how, I just don't know how to process what it is that I feel about all of this. You know, we've got a bow and arrow on the left there, you know, and of course I thought, oh, you could put a COVID, you know, cell out there and she could have a mask on, or, you know, it's like, I just don't know yet. I think it's going to be more political because all of these pieces are intended to be political, but a lot of people don't read them that way. I don't like to beat people over the head, but also I don't really like the idea of these always being thought of as sentimental or...
Yes. So as we were talking about earlier, it seems like you really are thinking about leaning more towards direct in terms of messaging and really wanting it to be, female empowering and something that can't be just interpreted as and being joyful in the moment, which I'll be really excited to see the works that you come up with.
Right, too, but I always feel like if somebody's being joyful in the moment, they've overcome something or they're in the middle of their power, you know. You see a little kid walking down the street singing and jumping rope. It's like they're not worried. They're not, they're taking over their life. They're not worried. But I haven't, one of your questions, I'll go, but I haven't. Are you familiar with the artist Dana Schultz, Schutz? She's working she's in New York. She's New York. And I've been looking at her work a lot. And I had somebody else, but I can't remember. I'll look her up.
Dana Schultz. I'm looking her up as we speak.
Yeah, she's great. And I've enjoyed the looseness of her work. And just the fantasy of her work. And she has let's see if I can find, sorry everybody, but
that's one of the great things though about doing this online versus in person is we can't just pull books out of thin air.
Right.
If we're in person.
That's true. But I could.
So I do have some Google results so I can turn this thing around.
Yeah. Yeah, ooh, like I like this girl that, yeah, you can see. They're more distorted figures, but very colorful. They're gigantic as well. The image. Gigantic. So, there's also
gorgeous.
A woman, and that was in the New York Times today, and her name is Jordan Castile. I don't know if you are familiar with her, but her work is absolutely spectacular. Do you know her work?
I do. I love her work.
Yeah, I'm just completely, where are we? Yeah, so that's her work, and it is, what gets me with this, these are all people that are friends. She lives in Harlem. This is very, very similar to, let's say, Alice Neal, because she did the same thing. She worked with her friends and people that lived around her. And these are a couple more that, but these canvases, this is the thing that is so, if I'm going to ever be jealous of anybody, it's just that they would have the space to make them. So,
So would you be interested in doing larger pieces that you just feel like you're prevented from doing that?
Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to need a crew to just, take them everywhere. What I'm doing now is a 36 by 48 will fit in the back of a hatchback. And so that's a fairly good size, but so, yeah. And I'm getting ready for a show at UA Fort Smith in January. So, we're working toward that. That's an enormous space up there. So you can come up and see how much I got done. But yeah, so la-di-da. What else you got?
Okay, so let's see. How are we doing on time here?
Oh, it's 5:30.
Okay, well, we did have a little bit of technical difficulties, so maybe let's have another 5 minutes. Does that sound good to you?
I'm fine. Yeah, no worries. I took a bath and everything for this. Shampoo my hair and everything.
Yeah, we're all looking, I feel very dressed up wearing, normal clothes. So we've already talked a lot about just bouncing around different questions. I guess one thing that I think a lot of people would be interested in, especially our your students and just sort of our younger viewers. I think that I used to ask this question to artists in the past that was, what would you tell someone interested in becoming an artist? But I think that in the current climate that we have now, there are a lot of students who aren't going to have senior shows or it's being pushed back to next year. And is there anything that you would want to tell an up-and-coming artist, someone who's interested in the art field now? Right.
Well, honestly, I deal with this and talk to kids all the time about, they're they'll ask me things like, is it good money? Or whatever, they'll ask me, and I'll go, no, there is no good money. You can be happy and make a living doing this just like you could anything else. I have friends that have the same degrees that I have that own businesses. Valerie Evans has South Main Creative, downtown. She is a BA in studio art. She's just a great example of somebody that could be an artist and then open this crazy, amazing business. John Bell has, I'm pretty sure I'm making this up, but, these folks have degrees in art and they go off and they do other things. But as far as telling somebody that they what it is to be an artist. It's not any different than it ever was before. But it's like being a great pianist. You have to play the piano. You have to paint all the time. It's not a hobby. It's and I don't mean like you have to paint all the time in that because you are driven to, as much as I'm saying you have to paint all the time if you want to be any good at all. If you want to be part of the game, you can't. It's not a part-time thing. But so it's like, do you want to have a nice garden? How often do you go into the garden to check it out and make sure there's no weeds in it? My students come in and they're real upset that they can't paint. What cracks me up is when they come in painting one or like, I don't know how to paint at all. And it's like, well, thank God for that. I mean, it's like, you're not supposed to. So they hopefully they learn to be a really good beginner, which is a beginner is somebody who makes a lot of bad work. You're making a lot of bad work to get to the good work. And so you've got to continue to do that even when it's bad. You also have to, and this is the most important thing, is you have to set up deadlines. Because if you don't have a deadline, you will I don't really know anybody that is able to work without them. I mean, I think that there are those amazing people. Hi, Kitty.
Sorry, my cat decided to join. I'm so sorry.
Part of these things is everybody's pets, but so it's like being a good beginner is being able to stand, knowing your taste is great, but maybe your work isn't as good. And you've got to remember, if you were trying to play a new instrument, it's not going to be great. There was one question you had asked, why do I use oil paint? And the truth is, it's my thing. It's my clarinet. I don't play the banjo, although that would be very cool. But so my instrument, that's what I end up, that's what I end up with. But yeah, so I just say, get with it. There's no magic. The magic is just doing it. And you got to force yourself. You have to drag yourself up, just like anything else. Sorry. No,
I think that's very true. There's going to be some good days and there's some bad days. So that just helps me kind of introduce the last question, which is really, it's a hard question, especially for artists to answer, but why art? There are good days, there are bad days, you're not guaranteed money. So why do it? What really makes you get up and paint?
Well, let's see. After all these years, it's what I have done for more than 40 years, and I guess why paint? It's the only thing I do well. I mean, it's what I have practiced and what I do well, and I'm glad I'm still interested, for sure. Why art compared to other things? I think as I went to college, I realized that I wasn't going to pass math to be an architect, and I didn't really want to be around kindergartners or be an early childhood educator, whatever I thought I was going to be. And I knew that people worked really hard at desk jobs, and I knew I could not do that. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that, but it was more a thing where it's unfolded that way in college. And then, like I said, you just have to have deadlines to continue. Lots of people quit, don't work, after school. So, and for them, I'm sad because it's like, it would be very difficult to go through all that and then not to have this. But yeah, it's great. I also have some amazing friends and people that support me, and in many, many ways, they say really nice things about my work that, whether I believe it or not, at least, I don't know, I have such great support. Like, I don't always think my work's great, but I can, I have these amazing support folks out here that help me continue to want to make work, so.
And I can say that your work definitely is great.
Thanks.
You know that. So, yeah, do you have any last statements or anything else that you wanted to let everyone else know?
Everybody, I think we're going to be okay here. We just need to get through this. The pandemic, what we're dealing with, everybody needs to be safe. Please wear masks in public or with your family if you're hanging out, because we're trying our very best to keep everybody well. In Arkansas, we've been very lucky. We've got very low numbers. And so we just need to keep working on that. I think hopefully, things are going to change a little bit with the way things operate. Everybody understands now how we are geared and actually what we can accomplish as far as the environment and everything else with things kind of shutting down. But I just think we need to be really brave and also be ready to make changes when this is over, to help our environment, to help everyone, and I just can't believe I didn't hug everybody more than I already did when I saw them. So.
I feel you there. And just for the museum, thank you so much for joining us, guys. This was our Meet the Curator with, of course, Katherine Strause
Chaney.
and myself. Thank you so much.
Illinois.
Yes, so thank you so much for joining us. The museum, we are closed to the public and we're trying to, help flatten the curve. But as a part of that, we're trying to stay active online through our Stay Connected series, which is basically a bunch of tinkering videos as well as me trying to give sneak peeks to our exhibitions, which we have a new Roger Terry exhibition that's going up this week.
Awesome.
Yes, so very excited about that. And you can join us online and look at our activities at www.asc701.org. And of course, we're all over Facebook and Instagram. And of course, Katherine, I want to keep working with you and just keep interacting with artists and the community so that we can try to provide as much content as possible.
Forever and ever. Forever. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And everyone, stay safe.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. See you soon. Love you all. Bye.